What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video today. And in this video we are Des Moines International Airport for the 54th airport update for the month of May 2025. We've got a new route starting, a new route launching soon, and we also have another diversion, and you can probably tell which aircraft it is already, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Otherwise, it is a pretty light update as one chunk of the diorama is not being used due to the ongoing construction with the airport, so that is how we're rocking this month. But let's get started with this Allegiant A320, which is pushing back for the inaugural flight to Jacksonville, Florida, starting on Thursday, May 22nd, so the day before this video comes out. This aircraft departed at 8:28 a.m. ahead of a scheduled 8:30 a.m. departure time on November 252 November Victor, which coincidentally is the second Allegiant A320 that Gemini Jets has released in this livery, so not too far off from what you'll get with that aircraft. That will be arriving in sometime after Airliners International that I've heard, so it sounds like there's still some major delays going on with that, but I'll keep following that situation, and if any major news comes up, I'll be sure to pass that along in the next applicable video. So this Jacksonville service, I did announce this a while ago, and this was alongside a plethora of new routes that they announced over the winter. So this new service for Allegiant here heading to Jacksonville, this will operate twice weekly, Sunday and Thursdays heading into next month. Service will end in November, so this will be a seasonal service, though I think that might get extended based on demand, so we'll see what happens with that. But I wish I had a water cannon salute thing that I could set up, but I don't have the GSC for that, so we'll have to move on from that. But I'll be sure to get more at Airliners International, if any are available. But I'm sure jet set models, yeah, they will be there, so they'll probably have a good amount available for sale. So I'll be sure to pick up a couple sets if I can. But moving on, we have the Southwest 737-700 with the splits. This is on what I believe to be a repositioning flight from Chicago Midway as Flight 8809. This ride in at 1:04 a.m. delayed from a 12:06 a.m. scheduled arrival. So this is definitely a repo flight since they don't operate a revenue service at this hour. Well, they do sometimes, but I know this service for sure does not operate at that particular time. So repo flight, pretty common across the industry. I've seen my fair share of them over the years, and it's always been nice to feature those just for the sake of variety. And then moving into our United section, we've got 737s for both our mainline aircraft this month and no express aircraft since I couldn't fit them into the diorama here. They were either parking at A2 or A4 and not A5, so the express service will be excluded this month, unfortunately, but we'll get back to it heading into June. But moving on, we have the 737-700 coming in from Houston. Featured the service last month, arriving in as Flight 1780 at 10:53 p.m., delayed from a 10:45 p.m. scheduled arrival, delayed by 8 minutes. And then I will take you guys off the tripod so I can show you the next aircraft right next to that. And we have the 738 Evo by Gemini Jets. And this ride in from the other major United hub, Chicago O'Hare, as Flight 622, arriving in at 2:30 p.m., ahead of a scheduled 2:38 p.m. arrival. So pretty solid lineup here at the A gates with our, of course, the Allegiant inaugural right there to Jacksonville. And I should also mention as well with Allegiant, because the news got passed to me the night that I was supposed to record this video on Wednesday night, but I did hold off on it just because I had some other conflicts going on in my schedule at the time. So Allegiant will be starting service from Des Moines to Gulf Shores, which is just west of Pensacola, on October 3rd, 2025. Twice weekly service that will initiate then, so that is very exciting for Allegiant. I know Gulf Shores, they are a fairly new commercial airport because previously they didn't have any major commercial air service. But if I pull up some information that I can find here, yep, so they will have a bunch of new services. So Appleton, Wisconsin begins October 2nd, and then Belleville, St. Louis, that will begin on May 23rd. So actually begin the day this video comes out, so that'll be pretty cool. And then they currently have Cincinnati, and then there's Des Moines, Fayetteville, Bentonville, that one's active, and then Houston Hobby. Kansas City will begin on Saturday, May 24th, and then Knoxville, Tennessee. So those are all the services that they have, all of them on Allegiant Air. So very awesome to see Gulf Shores picking up steam with all the Allegiant Air services. And I'll also mention as well just the other services that they added because there were a couple other routes of interest added to their network. So in addition to the Des Moines to Gulf Shores, they also added, of course, there's Appleton, and then Excuse me. Then there's also an intrastate route between Knoxville and Memphis, and then Key West to Knoxville. So that's pretty interesting there that they have that. I wonder if you could do that. You could book that, Key West to Knoxville and then to Memphis. It'd be kind of cool to do. And then South Bend to Fort Lauderdale, that is also getting added to their network as well. So just a handful of new routes compared to what they have typically done in the past, where they have like 20, 30, 40, 50 new routes announced all at once. So taking it a little lightly this time, but it's always fun to see those new routes coming out from Allegiant. It shows you just how successful they are, especially in the post-pandemic era. They have found the perfect business model, and they are taking advantage of it every step of the way. So big round of applause to Allegiant Air for what they've been able to accomplish. And their product is not too bad either, especially for what you're paying for. I especially enjoyed both flights that I took with them last fall, so I'll definitely be sure to fly with them again if travel needs require them. But now we'll move on to the Seagate as we start with this Diversion, this Delta A320, which came in from New Orleans, intended for Minneapolis. And you might recognize this because this is actually from the Diversions on May 15th, so last Thursday. And if you want more details on all the diversions, you can check out my special Sioux Falls Regional Airport update. I initiated a ticker on the top of the screen that scrolls through all of the diversions, so you can look through all the other ones that were also mentioned as well. So I know Cedar Rapids got a couple of them, and I think Omaha got one as well. I don't think Fargo got any. But Des Moines, I did want to put this in there just for fun, because obviously that was a big wave of diversions that we had over the course of 2 periods throughout the day because of storms, and then eventually it was very windy in the end, so that's why there was another wave of aircraft that diverted later in the afternoon. And then this one, regularly scheduled Delta flight, the 717 from Atlanta, flight 2306, arriving in at 10:37 p.m., delayed from a 10:30 p.m. scheduled arrival, so just behind by 7 minutes in this case. Very nice to see the consistency from Delta. And then some nice variety for our American mainline. We have a 737-800 on the DFW service this time. This arrived in as flight 1664 at 4:29 p.m. and a scheduled 4:37 p.m. arrival. And then our final aircraft for this update, here's the American CRJ 700 from Washington Reagan National. This arrived in as flight 5388 at 9:29 p.m. ahead of a scheduled 9:38 p.m. arrival. That's all the aircraft that we have here at the Des Moines International Airport. And I'll go and check out some of the other frequencies on most of the major services out of Des Moines right now. If I can get out of this menu, that would be awesome. There we go. So taking a look at Denver, we don't have Frontier in this update, but they will be twice weekly in June, Monday, Friday. And then for United, you can expect that to be pretty consistent. They're surprisingly turning a little more consistent, but there's a couple A319s, 738s in there. And then we have Las Vegas. This is on Allegiant. Wow, 5 weekly. So only days they're not operating this, Tuesday and Saturday. Very impressive right there. And then LAX, American will have that launching in October. So October 6th, they'll go with a once daily 175. Very cool. No Allegiant Air, unfortunately. So as I mentioned before, they did have to discontinue that. Then we have Santa Ana, which also begins on May 22nd. So that service will also be a Sunday-Thursday frequency, which is pretty common across Allegiant's network. San Diego begins on the day that this video goes out, also a Monday-Thursday frequency. And then we also have Portland, which began on May 22nd as well. So a lot of new services beginning here. And for Portland as well, that will actually be 3 times weekly after June 10th. So they'll add an extra Tuesday service alongside the Sunday and Thursday frequencies, which is pretty cool. And then checking out some of our mainline services for American. A320, A319 in there for DFW. Austin on Allegiant, also starting back up May 22nd. Sunday, Thursday there as well. Flight Connections does not show the Gulf Shores service yet, since that's pretty new, but I'm guessing they'll add that later. And then Destin, Fort Walton Beach, that begins May 24th. Wednesday, Saturday frequency. And then Orlando, Sanford, that will pick up to 5 weekly here, heading into June, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Our Charlotte for American, 2 daily mainline in there. We got a 321 in there and a 319, good variety to have. And then Allegiant from Boston, that'll start May 23rd, Monday, Friday frequency. And then we have New York LaGuardia on American and Delta, so once daily, except Saturday, 170 or 175, and then Delta in this case. They will have a couple of CRJ 900s daily heading into June. And then there's also a Newark mentioned here as well, so that is also picking up for Allegiant Monday, Friday. And then Detroit on Delta, just kind of going through the service here. 3 CRJ 900s, and then in June for Minneapolis, we're about 3 to 4 daily of the CRJs as well. And then Atlanta, not expecting too many changes there. 3, 4 daily 717s on that particular service. Nashville, almost daily. The only day they don't serve that is Tuesday in June, which is also good to see. And then Houston on United. Couple of mainline different aircraft, 737, A319, 175 on the second frequency there for the Express. And then Florida, of course, popping off pretty good there as well. A lot of services down there. And that will start on June 7th. So it'll be just a Saturday-only service on the 175. So we'll be sure to feature that in the June Des Moines Airport update as well. But yeah, a lot of fun stuff to cover here with Des Moines. So I'm trying to do more of these roundups at the end with all the different frequencies and whatnot, just to see what else is new and what else is all popping off here at the Des Moines Airport, because there's certainly a lot of fun things going on, especially with the new construction and whatnot. It's always fun to cover that. So if you guys enjoy this Des Moines Airport update, more content coming as we head into June, especially leading up to Airliners International. Had some fun events happen just recently, so you'll see videos starting to come out tomorrow, and then heading through June, I'll start posting the rest of those videos over time, so stay tuned to see what that could be. With that being said, that is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.